At Carnivore, we don't hunt for horns, but we do believe in using as much of the animal as possible. So what happens once you've shared all that delightful meat with your local buddies, put as much of it on the grill and eaten it yourself, and then you're left with a bunch of hides and horns? Well, in my case, my buddy Ray here, who's behind our trip to South Africa, is one of the best taxidermists in the business. So I'm bringing all my skulls and hides to him to process into something like you see on the wall behind me. Now, I've got no idea what goes into this process, but this guy is the expert. So Ray, why don't you take us through the whole process?
Yes, absolutely. So now we've delivered the trophies to the taxidermy. We've got our skins and our skulls, and we need to determine what are we going to do with them now. Are you going to have some shoulder mounts done, some flat skins, so European skull mounts, etc. So let's have a walk around and have a look at the different processes, and you can decide what you'd like to do with your trophies.
Perfect, awesome, dude.
Yeah.
Let's do it.
This is the most important process that you can do at a taxidermy. Starts at the first step of tagging and numbering the animals correctly. That's why we are doing this right now with all those skulls and hides over there. They have to be rechecked by the outfitter. They're hunting 10 animals a day. They can easily mix up a tag in the field. So we come back here, we go over everything again and just make sure. Because when that animal's on the wall and it's mounted, there's no turning back. What Billy's doing over here is he's just basically fleshing the hide. This is a kudu back skin. That's going for dip and pack, what we've been talking about, the big bulky salted hides that go into the containers. So what needs to happen is it gets soaked, get put into the pickle, and it's got to stay in there for a good 24, 48 hours, so the pickle goes right through. And then what he does is he just comes over here with his blade and he fleshes all the fat and the meat off. Gets the skin nice and clean, and then it goes back into the salt again and dried for the dip and pack process. Once the skin's been shaved through, it gets put into our tanning paddle over here, and anything between 10 days and 20 days. Depending
in here?
Yeah, between 10 and 20 days in here.
Wow.
If it's a springbuck or an eland.
From my perspective, it's like, what am I paying for here? Well, obviously I'm paying for machinery, time, people's labor, and you know, the expertise that goes into producing something that I want to hang on the wall.
No, it's extremely labor intensive and time consuming process. But at the end of the day, when it gets hung up on the wall, it makes everything worth it. All right, so what we got here is we've got a whole bunch of dip and pack hides that have already been cleaned out. And now they've been resalted after they pickle, and they are hanging here drying, brushing off all the salt and the dust, etc., just to make it look nice and clean. Now, once your skull's been boiled and bleached, and your cape has been tanned, we cast the specific mannequin that the clients asked. And now what we're doing is we've taken the skin out of the tanning and pulling it over this mannequin just to make sure that the size is right, and if not, make the mannequin smaller or larger just to suit the skin.
So there's quite a bit of artistry to actually forming them.
There's a lot.
The form that it wraps over.
Absolutely, your sculpting skills have to be there. And then once you put your glass eyes in and a little bit of clay around it, etc., and then pushing the mouth, nose, and the eyes skin back into place, and just creating it so it can look alive again.
Yeah. So how long would it take from going from this process to actually going to the client right now?
So I would say from now until it can leave our shop, you're probably looking at about 5-6 weeks.
Really? And how long has it taken from delivery to get to this?
From delivery to this place right now, if it doesn't stand in line, it would be about 2 months.
3.5 months from delivery to actually going out the door?
Yes, correct. A month to tan it, and a month to dry, and a few days to mount it.
That's a lot of hours, dude.
Yeah, that's a lot of hand hours. So yeah, now that we've had a look around and you've seen the different options that you have of sending your trophies back home, why don't you let us know what you've decided on?
Well, I think for the kudu, this big fella here, I would love to do a European mount, just skull with that, and then take the hide and let's just do a flat skin with the hide. For the bushbuck, I think, and I think for the Nyala, I don't have but one shoulder mount in 35 years of hunting. That was my bull elk. But I would love to do a shoulder mount with these two.
Absolutely. Yeah, I look forward to getting them into a crate and sending them off to you.
Perfect, man.
Yeah.
Thank you. Me too.
Can't wait.
Cheers, mate.